Normal NFL game. It was competitive. Showed a lot of resiliency on the road, particularly how the game started. This is the 3rd year anniversary of my grandmother's death, which today, the 22nd, she raised me, and I was kind of giving her the business after those first 2 plays, like, what the hell you got in store for me? But the guys competed. I was proud of the way they competed. It's a good football team. Defensively, they're a good football team. Thought we got into a rhythm, made some plays early in the game, stalled out a few in the second half, but at the end of the day, made a play there at the end to seal it, and Motor did a great job. But there's a lot of ebbs and flows of the game, some fumbles, fumble again coming out in the second half, fumble, we got to take care of. But a lot of resiliency from the guys in uniform in the room, so I was proud of those guys.
Can you speak to Malik Nabers and what he was accomplishing in the first half?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest play that I think Malik made was, we had a little throwback to Theo, which we had, I think. We had a big play possibility backed up, and Daniel's arm got hit. So it's up in the air. And for him to make that play in that situation, risk-reward call, thinking we're getting man-to-man, and, he scoots out the back there. I thought this might go, and there's pressure. And for him, the awareness to knock the ball down, that play, to me, says more about Malik than, some of the other things, which, everybody can see the touchdown and stuff. But the unselfless play, the smart play that he made was a huge play in the game. Huge.
James, how do you make sure that after those 11 seconds that this team does not sink its head, especially after what's gone on the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, that's what we talk about since we've, OTAs. You talk about resiliency and commitment to one another and teamwork and discipline and attitude. And there's going to be ebbs and flows to every game. There's ebbs and flows to every season. And that's something that we preach internally. And, our guys have internal confidence. But it's good, to get the result. The process has been right. I believe in our process. I've said that before. So their commitment to one another, their next play mentality, things we preach, for a long time. They haven't come to fruition, because the results, everybody wants to see the results, and I understand this is a results business. But we believe in what we do and how we do things. And it showed, I think, in terms of their, you're on the road, it's cranking there, it's a touchdown right after the fumble, and just to stay locked in and committed to the next play mentality. Doesn't always turn out your way, but today it did, and I give our guys a lot of credit.
What did you see from Daniel?
Another good week, yeah. I mean, he's had 2 good weeks in a row. I don't know what, another 100-plus quarterback rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Handled the noise well, did a good job of not turning the football over, executing. I think we were 100%, or we took a knee at the end. So again, red zone, but he was locked in, and he's been that way. So we're gonna need it from him this week, a short week, and a lot of work to do.
Brian, what was your vantage point on that pass to Malik on the sideline right before the touchdown, where he looked like he was boxed out and he kind of reached over the defender in front of him?
He was on the far sideline.
Yeah.
It was one hell of a catch. Yeah, I'm go back and watch it on tape, but I saw it. I said, "Oh!" And then he came down with it.
Yeah.
Again, you have a guy like that. Doesn't really matter about the matchup. Throw the ball up to him and trust that he's going to get it.
You said because it looked like when you had to go.
It did.
You watched it. It looks
Yeah.
like that easily could be an interception.
Yeah.
So is that what when you have a guy like that and you talk about 50-50 balls?
Yeah. That's. It takes a lot of trust between a quarterback and a receiver to be able to do that. Particularly with the leverage of the defender. How is he playing? And you always talk to the receiver. It's your ball or it's nobody's ball, and that's how you develop the trust. My 7-year-old made a play like that the other day, so we're working on that. But again, he's a good football player. You've all seen it. Still a lot to work on, but I've said this numerous times. Glad we have him.
How important was it to see that? You talk a lot about process. How important was it for the guys to see that? The benefit is it could lead to results.
Yeah, that's the key, right? So you'd like to have good process, which leads to good results. That's the ideal box. Sometimes you can have a good process that leads to bad results, and that's still a box you want to be in, although the result's not good. And then you can have bad process and bad results, which is what we don't want to do. So the commitment to one another, how we do things, or bad process, good results, which is a slippery slope too. you know, again, the way our guys work, their commitment, their practice habits, their study habits, it's not always going to lead to a win. You love it to. But I know every week they go in and they give everything they got. They work hard in the classroom. They work hard on the practice field. The coaches are together. There's chemistry. They work their tails off. And unfortunately, sometimes you don't get the results you want. So it's good to get the results for this. It's one game. There's a lot to clean up on. And we got a short week to do it against a great team.
Your decision to go for it early on fourth down, talk about that, Dave.
Yeah, I like the play we had. So a little jet sweep to Malik, put it in his hands, and carried some momentum. Confidence in the players, doing it on practice. So when you get to a point where you feel that, those decisions aren't really that difficult to make.
The pass rush was particularly effective today. Is that kind of what you and Joe imagined when you put this together?
Yeah, it was great. I don't know, what do they have, 8 sacks or something like that? But there was pressure too. And again, I think when you look at it, how is the game being played? So their team's down 21-7. You get to a certain point, there's more passes, there's things like that. So that helps too. So it's not just a pass rush; it's how you play the game, complementary style. Like we can get up 21-3, or there's a whole different game. Conversely, when you get down, it's hard. So there's going to be more pressure on the quarterback. That's the hardest thing to do is protect the quarterback when they know you got to throw it. So I thought complementary, was probably so far our better games. Complementary football.
What does
It was a real shift in approach to blitz, the way you blitzed in this game. I think you brought, it was like 57% of the dropbacks. You brought more than 4 rushes.
I didn't have my calculator out there, Jordan.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
So what went into that?
Again, game plan. So, each week we go into the, staff Monday and Tuesday, and we think this is what needs to be done. Played a little bit more man than we probably have in the past, the first couple games. It could change each week. That's what I like about Shane and the defensive staff and the offensive staff, and Gobi, to be honest with you. They work, they exhaust all their resources. They spend a lot of time together. They work late. They're committed to one another. And then they come up with the plan that, we think is best for our football team. And sometimes you have to adjust to that. It's not working the best. Sometimes it's working good, and that's why you spend all those hours there to work. But, again, it's one game, but certainly beats the alternative of the result that we've had the first 2 weeks. But, got a lot of work to do, but I'm proud of the players and the coaches.
Did the players indicate to you or to the defensive coordinator that they wanted to be more aggressive?
No. Look, Shane does a great job. Gobi, Calf, we all work together. We come up with a plan. And the players have been great. So do you take players' input on certain things? Sure. There's days today I'm asking Wandell, what you like, what you hear, what we're talking. But that's what makes, of the teams that I've been part of, when you can have that type of communication, Kim, that's being a team.
Brian, as a play caller, in the first half, did you feel like you had the right plan to attack Schwartz's defense, and did you feel like...
Yeah. I felt I had the right plan the whole game, but we didn't score in the second half. So that's how you have to feel as a play caller. That's why you spend all that time putting it in. And then they did a good job of spinning it. They got to much more of a man-type stuff. They were spinning it early on and doing things, and we were screening. We were doing a lot of different things too. And then, it comes down to ultimately the execution of it. But, we were in a little bit of a rhythm. The quarterback was seeing things good. We were changing up styles of play. The running game, we were throwing enough in there, but he's a really good defensive coordinator. They did a good job in the second half. I thought we missed some opportunities. And ultimately, when you don't score, you always look at yourself and say, what could I have done a little bit different? So turnovers, huge on both sides. But, I thought collectively we did enough. Still, there's stuff to clean up. There's a call here or there, you hit that play to Theo. That's a huge one. It's split seconds away. But you got to be willing to do that, particularly when you get up. I don't think you can close up. You got to be able to throw the ball downfield, Jordan, and mix things up when they're playing a certain style.